So I got the BrainLink working. This is the EEG tool. It's got the little battery pack on the side. And these are the little studs that have to contact your skin in order for this thing to work. And you guys don't get uh, a real show today because I'm streaming on the phone that I was using to play the games, but this is what it looks like. Aww. And while I wait for some of you to uh, drop in, like Chris C right there, I'm just going to be setting up some of the other toys that I'm going to be playing with, controlling them with my mind. I guess this is an unboxing now, and this is from a high-tech product series, and I have no idea what else it is saying. Hi, Chris. What's good? Foreign products. All right. So, inside the box we have uh, lots of stuff. I think I'm going to have to build this spider like a Gundam. Okay, so it looks like there's another charging cable in this thing. Okay, all this stuff is together. And there's a little motor and stuff that I'll be controlling with my brain. And some chips and whatnot. That looks like a battery, but there's a switch. I don't see how you charge it. So today we were playing the relaxation games and the focus games, and I was able to focus an entire watermelon up and destroy it in the video game. And Misty got stuck on the bowling ball of relaxation. It's a really tough level to lift the bowling ball, but it's kind of like you're using the Force with your BrainLink headset and using different brain waves to control things in the game. But it's the Force is only good for the game. So Happy 63 Funny wants to know, is the motor magnetic or thermal? I think it's just a battery powered motor. Not sure what you are wanting. This is the motor that will move the spider. These are all the pieces of the spider. I don't even want to take this out. It's going to be like a lot of work. This is, oh man, it reminds me of Gundam models. This is too much. But this will be the way that I take this from just playing the BrainLink games on the computer or on my phone, and actually I will control a little spider thing, and then we can grow this from here to actual, like, I don't know, stalking my enemies with drones and whatnot. Misty's laughing at me. We're gonna get there. All right. We're gonna control shit with EEGs on our heads, talk to each other. We're gonna get there. So far, all I can do is lift a watermelon in a video game.
A digital watermelon.
A digital watermelon. First, there's the feather. Then there's the apple, and then there's the watermelon. And I got the watermelon. I have total focus.
You've got the pineapple.
And the pineapple too. But so far, neither of us has been able to lift the bowling ball of relaxation, which I almost lifted it, but I had to almost fall asleep in order to be that relaxed. So it was really hard to do because, okay, when you start to lift it, it gets to a certain part in the air, and there's this magical chiming sound that comes from your phone and the display. And so that magical chiming sound wakes you up, because you're aware of it. And then you drop the bowling ball. So it's like, damn it. But if you can hold it in that chiming, magical, whirly area, after a while, everything will like explode. So I was able to explode the pineapple, the apple, the watermelon. Just the bowling ball's getting me. Happy 63 Funny says, think we did this already back in the 70s with ESP. This has nothing to do with ESP. This is just uh, EEG brainwaves. They are alpha and delta brainwaves, right? And so it's very binary the things that you can or can't do with this, right? So far, there's only the 3 points of contact in this one, right? So really, um, you're only able to sense whether or not like a certain wavelength of brain waves is up or down. Yeah, so if you can decode your brain waves to binary, you can uh, you can spell things out for a video game. And I think Jamie is still wanting me to be uh, uh, a Muslim. He keeps mistaking me for one. Is it the beard? Oh, Chris C says, I see you using this for a couple of weeks and giving up because it doesn't look that cool. I'm not worried about looking cool. I maybe need a haircut because now my hair is poofing on over the top of my head. So I've got a muffin top for a head, just like I have a muffin top around my belt line. So Happy 63 Funny says, do you think your mind is binary? No, no, but because a lot of different things can distract my focus, I found. You really have to clear your mind in order to lift these things in the video games. You really, like, any little distraction, and it just feels like there's way more dimensions to focus than just binary. But it can also display your brain waves kind of like an equalizer from 80s stereo. So you see different sets of brain waves, and really, uh, it's not so distinct that you could control all of the different EQ levels and have different things that you could control. Because really, it's just alpha and delta waves that you're able to really concentrate on as like a group of them. So, uh, yeah. And it's not really binary because you're creating more alpha waves, you're creating more delta waves, or you're doing neither of those things. So it's really three-way control there. So it's not binary. Jamie says, if you're a social justice warrior, and most social justice warriors support Islam, how do you feel about Sam Harris, who is an atheist, saying that Muhammad was a warlord and was not peaceful? Um, yeah, well, that's just his opinion, man. Uh, uh, you don't have to support Islam to be a social justice warrior. Okay. Um, Chris thinks decoding my retina would be more productive. Maybe. Uh, if I had Google Glass and I was working on those kind of things, yeah, that might be more productive. Don't want to lose any of this. The instructions are literally written in Chinese, so um, not really going to be able to help me out with that. Um, oh, these instructions are half English and half Chinese for the spider robot. What is this? It's trying to sell me on other things, I think. It almost reminds me of like the old Atari uh, video game pamphlets that tell you all the different games that you could get. I'm dating myself with that. Back in the day, when I unboxed an Atari without having YouTube to witness it. What do you guys think? Uh, your best videos are still exploring abandoned houses, but nobody knows. You are correct. And there are some gems that I stick in the middle of those videos that I know are very, very impressive. But actually, I feel like some of my best videos are actually privated on my channel for various reasons. Um, if you were on my Discord server, you might have seen those things. But um, one day, the world will be ready for my greatest videos. Chris wants to know, am I voting for Bernie? Um, yeah, yeah, I'm voting Bernie. And part of that is pragmatism. And what gets me is uh, last time around, I stuck with Hillary because of pragmatism and not wanting to change horses midstream. That sort of approach. And I thought she was going to edge him out, and I wanted a more solidified party, and still didn't work out for me. So this time around, what's interesting is I'm leaving the support of Warren, even though she did like an awesome job eviscerating Bloomberg in the debate for Nevada. I feel like I'll be leaving Warren to support Bernie, just like Andrew Yang's supporters who wanted to vote for Yang. They pretty much saw that Bernie needed them. So that beep was my head. That was me becoming unfocused and unrelaxed. Okay, so Happy wants to know. Won't bug you long. I really do appreciate those abandoned house videos, though, and my politics are not so well informed. Well, I think that Misty will have me exploring as soon as uh, she gets a whole bunch of them lined up. She's been exploring in the way that she does in order to find all of the abandoned houses. And yeah, Chris C says, I don't see the pint for socialism. Maybe he meant the point for socialism. Um, Bernie has explained himself in all of the debates, and basically, um, communism and socialism are not the same as democratic socialism, which is what he wants. Uh, yeah, and there's Godless Manitoban who has no skin in the game because he's in Canada, going, he's a commie. Um, I could make you an argument for socialism. Um, we'll start with our public education system. Let's say we didn't have one and we had a whole bunch of dumbasses who didn't have to even go through third grade arithmetic. If our laws didn't say that kids had to at least attend all the way up to 10th grade before they could drop out, we would have a mass of people who were not instructable at work. So it makes sense that those who are the haves to have a little bit of what they have taxed away in order to educate everyone, so that there's at least a basic modicum of communication that you could expect. Um, Chris says that's not true. Computers and AI would do a better job than teachers. One day, one day, Chris, um, we will have uh, smartphones that will actually make us smarter instead of dumber. How many phone numbers do you remember right now, Chris? Do you remember a time when you used to remember more phone numbers? Yeah, that's because computers are making you dumber. Happy says, how about capitalism with a few socialist programs like Social Security and health and education when affordable? Um, yeah, that's what Bernie wants. You know, uh, and I actually describe uh, unions such as the ones that Bernie and Buttigieg were arguing over who has more union support. I think that there are actually little bubbles of socialism within capitalism because everyone in the union pretty much gets paid the same. Um, it does not pay to become the foreman or the general foreman or the superintendent. It's actually you get like a couple extra dollars an hour, and it's not worth the headache. You're better off just being a journeyman. So, yeah, there are little bubbles of socialism because there are no CEOs in those union contractor jobs. There are groups of people all making the same wage. Chris C says it's only a matter of time before teachers are replaced. Um, I don't know. I think that there's always going to be a demand for in-person tutoring, which will look like teaching of this era. But also, I think that computers will be taking the place of therapy. You look at all the different mindfulness apps and yoga apps on the phone. in the Google Play Store, and there's a whole bunch of things that your phone can do for you. Right? Um, People will be able to have their phone diagnose them, to a certain degree. Maybe they'll have to be a little bit of a human oversight to it, but yeah, I'm not afraid of technology taking away certain tasks and leaving me with uh, only the cream of the job to do. Um, it's like when I talk to my clients about self-driving cars, right? So in a couple of years, Elon Musk pushes a button on his phone, and then everybody else's phone says, "Do you want your car to join the fleet?" And then everybody who owns a Tesla Model 3 and above will be able to make money off their car as if it were a driverless Uber, right? And what I tell my clients is, do you think that I'm afraid that driverless cars are going to create less DUIs and then therefore less of you clients coming to my DUI therapy groups? No, because there's Uber right now, and people are still getting DUIs by choosing to drive their own car while drunk. So there's plenty of money to be had giving therapy to people who are getting DUIs, even though Uber and Lyft exist. There's Lime bikes and Lime scooters and all sorts of different ways that you could avoid getting a DUI in a car. But, you know, people are still getting DUIs. All right. So Happy 63 Funny says it's the drive of the capitalism that I think is important. Why to go to school for 12 years to be a surgeon if you don't make bank? Um, Definitely. And I know that some of you might push back on this, but I actually don't think that uh, many degrees where it's required to have this degree to get this certain type of job should even take that long. I think part of the reason why people are required to go to high school through the age of 18 is there aren't enough jobs. And if we were to allow 16-year-olds who were competent to work the same jobs that 50-year-olds worked, then we would have upheaval in our economy. And that's part of the reason why, you know, raising the entry level requirements for jobs to, like, say, a bachelor's degree uh, kind of regulates the unemployment because there are so many people who delay entering the workforce. And that's one way of, you know, taking 4 years of their life for a bachelor's degree and making it, not part of the job force, and therefore you're not taking up a job or, you know, sitting around unemployed when you have the credentials to have those better jobs. So um, when you look at people who get like a master's or a PhD, that's like pushing into their late 20s if they did all of their schooling all in a row. You know, if they just were students the entire time, you get out of your your doctorate program and you're almost 30, and half of your life your usable work life is gone. So one of the purposes of education is basically keeping people out of the workforce. Ostensibly it's preparing people to work, right? But when you look at the curriculum in high schools and you look at the potential of half the students to excel at even college level courses, which it's an option to them to take college level courses while they're in high school. Sometimes uh, it's a thing. People take college courses for high school credit all the time. Um, there are programs for that, but these minds are being babysat and restricted. Um, Actually, the non-insulting connotation of the word retarded. We are retarding people's progress through school, uh, and tying it to a nominal age, which many people before that age are ready to work and ready to have responsibilities. But instead, we have an extended adolescence, which can reach up to 30 years old. And I think part of that is just, hiding the fact that we don't have enough jobs for the amount of smart people that we have in the country. And when robots are displacing the jobs and softwares displacing the jobs, I think that we're eventually going to come to the conclusion that Andrew Yang has already put forth that we need to have like a universal basic income because we're not going to have enough work for everyone to be able to work. They might have to work just a couple hours a week, to keep that human component that's necessity still in place, but then the rest can be done by automation. You know, we're going to have robots that are repairing the other robots pretty soon. That's creepy. Let's see. Um, our car programmer is also subject to DUI laws. What's funny is if you have your keys to your car and you're in the back seat and you're drunk, you can still get arrested for DUI. You can be in your house, like in your garage area, and somebody could report that you were driving, and you can be within like 25 feet of your car with your keys and being drunk in your own house, still get arrested. So, um, Jamie Demeter says universities don't mean anything anymore because feminism ruined it. I don't know that I'd call it feminism, but there definitely seems to be a dumbing down of curriculum in order to make it more accessible to more people, you know? Well, I don't think I have much more than 30 minutes in me tonight. I was just yawning a lot. Chris C says setting salary for the worker or union workers is not fair to any guy who can do it on the street for less. That's how capitalism works. And that's why unions are like a bubble of cap or socialism within capitalism because there are non-union uh, teams that will do the work for a different rate. Now, sometimes the actual monetary pay is more for the non-union work because they are not getting all the benefits that the union workers are getting. But the overall cost of a union worker is usually higher. Um, that's been my experience. But uh, yeah, the union works like a bubble within capitalism. And when you see union electricians and they're on a job and they do their craft, you can tell the difference between what they did and the non union crews did. There's an art to what they do, and they help each other out, and just the way that they work. Um, they're all about quality of what they put out, and it isn't about a race to the bottom and bidding and all that. It's more about let's put out some quality work and really show our best at our craft. I have some junction box trees that I took pictures of years and years ago where I landed wires on uh, different parts of a junction box, and just it looked so beautiful. Looked like I made the tree of life inside of that thing. Just amazing artwork that I was making out of wiring. And yeah, you don't see that with the non union work. Happy says, this is why I don't comment on your political videos and fawn over your explanation videos. Um, I guess it's because you don't get to talk back and forth with me. Back before that, you said, "How can we take advantage of extended adolescence?" Well, the first thing you do is make sure that you have an education for all that extended adolescence that you have. Um, Secondly, I think people should be trying to exit that adolescence. To be honest, um, my brother was able to do it a lot more than I was. At the age of 16, he graduated, and he's now working for an IT department in a certain company, you know, and he got an early start on the rest of his life. And I didn't even know that that option existed. I was already out of the house when he graduated early. And I was like, what? He's already going to college, and already beating me. I was joining the army. And I was like, he's already on his way to college? What the fuck? I was behind the power curve there. Um, Jamie wants to know, is Nick a hero? Um, as much as Job is in the Bible, I suppose. Uh, as much as the Joker is in the latest Joker movie. Um, at the very least, I will say that Nick is the main character of the story. And all of the people who track his every happening on the internet, um, those people are not main character material. That's what I'll say in Nick's defense. And Happy 63 Funny says, be kind. Um, and you want to know about Big Bad John? I don't know who Big Bad John is. Sorry. Um, but as far as being kind about the extended adolescence that people find themselves in, um, because of the housing market um, being so out of the grasp of anyone, uh, not just people who are experiencing that extended adolescence. I can't fault anyone for living in their mother's basement anymore. You know, it's become something that people who don't live in their mother's basement actually envy because the cost of living is so fucking outrageously high compared to the stagnant wages in this country. And yeah, I think it's just become part of our culture now that families stay together in under the same roof for an extended adolescence period, and even you'll see 3 generations, 4 generations, all living in the same house, and you just can't fault them, you know. Jamie wants to know how I feel about that guy, and I made videos about it when it happened, but I don't really even think about it at all, you know. Only when you guys bring it up in live streams. Uh, it's weird. Um, what I experience in my real life has nothing to do with internet dramas that I've been a part of in the past, and you'd think that for everyone asking me questions about it, that it would be a bigger part of my life. But people watching and reliving these dramas by looking at older videos, they can actually know more about the drama than I do, and I lived through it, And if I was a part of that drama, they could quiz me on it and actually beat me in a pop quiz on what happened in such and such drama 5 years ago on the internet. You know, I'm I'm very much removed from it, and I would say 2010 to 2000 mid 2013, I was at my computer a lot more than 2013 on, and I was unemployed. I was on unemployment, and I was waiting for my next call in the union. And part of working for a union is, if there's no calls, you don't go out and work scab, and you don't work as a rat working non-union. You wait for a union call. And so, yeah, I was sitting at home thinking, maybe I can make it as a YouTuber. The whole YouTuber dream, you know, getting fame crazy, like Preston Hudman, you know. And I tried my hand at it. I grew an audience and didn't grow it fast enough, you know. And I boil that down to I must not have been that entertaining. Happy wants to know what's worse, being rich and stupid or poor and smart. Um, if I had to choose one to be, I would choose poor and smart because I would bet on my ability to swindle the rich guy out of his money. Um, but being rich and stupid, you might be quick to be parted from your money. So There's that. What the fuck? Yeah. John Telnot had some drama jump up and bite him. Um, yeah, I've noticed that a couple of people I know that switch platforms in order to get in on the initial wave of TikTok. They're now having their TikTok videos downloaded and then put on YouTube uh, out of context and just labeled by the re-uploaders and um, yeah, there's an entire like genre of internet entertainment that is all about a certain type of cyberbullying, where people are not allowed forgiveness and redemption. The internet never forgets. And so you are stuck being the person that you were when they were turned on to watching you. Got this little curl in my hair right here. Ugh, it's like a little like alien antenna. I don't know. Let's see. That rich people want to be the leaders in that socialist movement. It's hard to vote for somebody who's not leading by example. Okay, so here's the thing about Bloomberg saying that Bernie has 3 homes. Uh, Misty just took a picture of all 3 homes and put them on her Facebook because it's laughable to think that like that is the mark of him being a rich person, um, living more than a humble life. His main home looks about the size of mine. His apartment home in DC is very modest, and it's part of a larger uh, complex of apartments that are all like smushed together in that Chinese style that old cities have to have. Their brownstones are all squished together. He's got one of those in DC because he's got to work there, you know. But it's still not a mansion or anything. It's like a little fucking apartment style home. And then the cabin that he has, Misty said that it was actually like an inheritance, and it wasn't on his side of the family even. It was his wife, and so they've got this cabin, right? I looked at the picture of the cabin. Not any place that I'm going to go camping. So yeah, sometimes people have a little bit more property, and you're like, oh, you're rich now, but not really. Um, if I were to take myself as an example, I still have a 14-foot flatbed trailer, and I could probably sell it off for $1,000. And there's a lot of people out there who don't have even $1,000 in their bank account, and they would consider me rich for having a trailer, a flatbed, not uncovered trailer that I can haul stuff with, because it's a tool that you can use to make money. And a lot of people don't have anything. So I drive a truck, and ooh, it's nice to be you if you have a truck because you can afford that extra bit of money at the gas pumps because you get worse gas mileage, right? You know, yeah, I pay a little bit more in gas, but I don't have to ask for somebody's help to haul something home. Happy 63 funny says, some people don't deserve a trailer. No, when I say trailer, I mean something pulled by my truck, a not a home. There's no. I'm not discussing homes here. I'm discussing a two-wheeled vehicle attachment that carries things. That's the trailer that I have in the driveway, and uh, a lot of people would consider that a luxury to have that sort of an attachment for your truck to be able to haul things. So Chris says Bernie's rich because he's worth about 20 million. Um, he also might be the poorest of all the senators that are in Congress right now. Even though he's got some millions to him, um, he made those in honest ways without taking money as bribes, or uh, lobbying or whatnot. He didn't accept any money that way, and he still managed to make that much money. Now, some of it also comes from his wife, who has been able to make money in they're a two-person income family, and part of that is actually off of his fame because if you looked at his wife's Wikipedia article, you'll see that there was some controversy that Trump tried to put a spotlight on, and it was about how a certain school that she was a part of was able to raise a lot of funds while she was working for them, and then when she was no longer working for them, the people who were donating to the school kind of backed out of donating anymore, and so then the school couldn't afford the expansion uh, of the property that they then inhabited after they bought it from the Catholic Church, and so the school basically shut down because it couldn't afford its own expenses. So just the fact that her presence at the school attracted a lot of donations to the school because people were basically rewarding her husband by sending the gift of a donation to the school that his wife worked at. It was kind of like, mm, that's why she's getting these good administrative jobs at these places. It's because, you know, people are going to want to give funds to the wife of a senator or uh, back then a congressman. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of a skeleton in the closet there, but it's really hard to explain so that it's not something that's going to come out of Trump's mouth. But it's there. I mean, you can follow her Wikipedia entry and see that it was a controversy and that people tried to make something out of it, but it didn't. It's kind of a nothing burger. Nobody fucking cares. But um, because of that second income that she has into their family, I feel like that's another explanation as to why he is worth so much. It's because he is part of a married unit, so there's assets that are now shared, like the cabin. The cabin he had nothing to do with. It just now is part of their shared assets. John says calling Bernie rich is a neoliberal attack and nothing else. Sure, dude, be rich, but play the game and not the man, or you are shill. I fucking hate shills. Uh, Happy you're welcome for me including you. I try to include everyone, and I try to do so in a way that doesn't just pick out people who pay for super chats. Um, and I am absolutely, by mentioning that, not telling you to super chat me at all. And that is a serious me saying that, not just like uh, sarcastic at all. No, I'm saying don't want those. Just comment, and I will get to you. I don't. I don't talk to people just because they super chat. Um, I especially don't throw your money away on super chat because uh, the creator, whoever it is you want to give money to, is only getting 60% of that money, and you could just donate to their Patreon and they'd get 90% of the money. So do not super chat. It's throwing away part of the money to a middleman. Um, I'd get better percentage if you send it to my PayPal. So Chris says, I'm surprised you want universal health care since you were in the Army and used the VA, I'm guessing. I was in the Marines, I used the VA. The VA, in my experience, has been the best healthcare provider that I've had. And recently I had the kind of insurance that you could use with the biggest hospital here in Denver because I worked for them. And I would not use them because the VA was better. And I had already been to the VA, and then I could see the kind of care that the people at the hospital I was working at were getting. And I was like, no, I'm going to stick with the VA. There are a few hospitals that are prettier and cleaner than the new VA hospital that is in Aurora. Um, it's on the east side of Denver, but it's basically the Denver VA, but it's in Aurora. Um, yeah, I don't find any problems with the VA. When I broke my leg, I made an appointment with the VA after I went to the VA emergency room. I made an appointment with the VA, but then I made an appointment with uh, my other option because I had both, and it still took just as much time to see an osteo specialist to fill out my FMLA paperwork. So it wasn't any faster than the VA was. Um, all sorts of hospitals have shortages in certain specialties, and uh, yeah, VA is no different. But the wait time between using the VA for your health care and using anything else about the same. And I understand, Chris, that it can depend on where you're at. And I've the the uh, the bad stories that I have heard about the VA all seem to come from the East Coast, you know, especially around the Virginia area. So my VA, I've had nothing but good experiences with them. And I was getting healthcare without the VA for about 10 years of my life. And when I finally did go to the VA, I had the experience of what it's like to have just, I think I had Aetna before that, and it just wasn't as good as VA healthcare. Happy wants to know if the VA Denver prescribe marijuana. No, they do not prescribe it. Uh, so the VA is federally funded, so they have to abide by federal law. and so they don't prescribe it. Most big hospitals in uh, the Denver area do not prescribe cannabis as far as giving people their cannabis med card. Uh, if somebody has that med card, they get access to medical marijuana at a much cheaper price than recreational marijuana, but they're both pretty much the same strength. So the only real purpose of getting that med card is um, getting access to cheaper prices. But you can get just as strong of stuff recreationally here, and you don't need a prescription. But if you need a prescription here for that red card, what you do is you go to any establishment that has the free. Uh, it's not a newspaper. It's like a free magazine slash newspaper called the Westward, right? And they just leave stacks of it in certain restaurants and like Barnes and Noble and whatnot. Up front. It's a free paper, and it's weekly, and it is full of ads of doctors who do uh, write prescriptions for cannabis, and it's cheap. And you just go to one, get your prescription, and you know get your red card, and that's it. But no, the VA doesn't do it, and hospitals don't do it. It's doctors who are working independently of either of those, and they're just out there. And the way you find them is go pick up a Westward. Chris C says marijuana is the best sleeping medication out there. Um, wouldn't know, but Misty might disagree with you because she tried to use some CBD for sleep, and she found that other alternatives work better. Um, as far as uh, as far as treating someone for a sleep disorder, like they just can't fall asleep, usually before we go to prescription medications, I would lead someone to trying melatonin, then maybe a Benadryl, and then uh, talk to a doctor and get a prescription for something else. Um, Principled Uncertainty says, do you agree that the Dems' absurd immigration policy makes the healthcare for all option untenable? I believe you have to pick one. It's breaking our national healthcare system. So, um, if people were leaving their country to uh, go to our hospitals and have us pay for it, and then going back to their country, I can see that as an issue, right? That's one country pushing its costs off into another country en masse, one at a time. But what happens in our country is actually people come over here undocumented, maybe get a work visa, maybe just get a work ID number, and they'll work, have taxes taken out of their work, and not really have any way to get them back. And then they might show up at a hospital and get free health care because they got put on Medicaid by uh, a managed Medicaid plan at a certain large hospital in Denver that almost asks like Medicare for all actually exists anyway. Um, it's not ruining us so far. Um, Chris C says, "Do you believe in a socialist nation people have to work?" I'm just saying that wouldn't people abuse the system? Um, if you look at the proposals that some of the Democrats have had, like Andrew Yang, um, no, it's literally free money that he's trying to give away to people so that they can actually have the option of not working if there's some other goal that they have, like video games. Um, and I think that UBI that he's talking about would really keep employers from keeping people under their thumb to the point where they won't quit when they want to quit. Um, so Vanna Bang says, "So did you have to get a plug or port for your headpiece? Where did you get it at?" I bought this online because I was sniping for a good price, and uh, they plug in like this. So do this little battery pack plugs in like that, and then it just you wear it on the side right like that, and that's how it works. Battery lasts for a long time too. Wow. So Chris C says free money can't work. Uh, that's offsetted by inflation and companies raise prices. Blah blah blah. People not having enough of a piece of the pie to be able to leave their job if that's what they desire to do for a different job. That is untenable. Um, People not getting enough of the piece of the pie that they can't afford to buy a house when they have followed all the rules, gotten all of the education that they're supposed to get, and they're in the one of the best paying jobs in their city, and they still cannot afford housing because they are just priced out of the market. That is untenable. So this system that we have with stagnant wages that it's evolved into, where people are priced out of being able to be part of the conversation in politics. People are priced out of being able to have a savings so that they don't have to work until they're dead. You know, those things are untenable. And so the redistribution of wealth that he's talking about with that UBI is just, you know, it is just that. It is redistribution of wealth, not by merit, just by virtue of the fact that you're a human being and the world has turned into something that is run amok, and we don't really know how to fix things to put the proportion of people's incomes back to where it was 50, 60 years ago when our buying power for our dollar was a lot stronger. All right, guys, it's past an hour, and I need to get some sleep. Talk to you guys later.